morning, students. Today in this lecture we would like to discuss about the remaining 4 modifications. They are epiphytic roots, nodular roots, photosynthetic roots and parasitic roots. Okay, students. So we have already completed about the first 4 root modifications in the previous lecture. Today we are going to discuss about the remaining 4 root modifications, which we start from epiphytic roots. Okay, students, let us know very well about those 4 root modifications which they are present as root modifications for conducting different functions, performing different functions. What they are? Have a look. Now, another type of root modification, that is epiphytic roots. No need to follow order, but you please understand the root modifications what actually they are. Epiphytic roots. These epiphytic roots are also known as hygroscopic roots. What it is? Hygroscopic. Hygroscopic roots. Epiphytic roots are also known as hygroscopic roots. Let us know something about this. Epiphytic roots, the term we are using as epiphytic roots means some plants, the roots in some plants are giving support taken by the huge branches of trees. Huge branches of trees means some plants are projecting these hanging roots or aerial roots into the air for the absorption of water from the moisture. And also they are very much useful for giving support. The support they have taken from the object like very big logs or very big branches of huge trees. Some category of plants like especially orchids. The plants like orchids have very beautiful flowers they are producing, of course, but the plant body is very weak plant body. That's why they may not grow directly on the soil. Most of the cases they are depends on the huge branches of trees. They are growing on very big objects. So from that objects they are going to be taken or settled on that object. They are producing some special roots from the nodal region of the plant body. These roots are hanging into the air when the plant body kept on the huge branches of huge trees. From that they are going to take right support by producing one type of roots called clinging roots. What they are? Clinging roots. Some are there acts as clinging roots, some are there acts as epiphytic roots or hanging roots or velamen roots. Now got the point, students? So based on the keeping their body on the other plants, surface of the branches of other plants or other trees, these roots which they are projecting for the plants is called epiphytic roots. Epiphytic roots means other plants and on their branches these plants are positioned and producing special roots. That's why those roots are called epiphytic roots or hygroscopic roots. Based on their function, for what purpose they are hanging these roots? By taking right support from other plant body or other trees or other branches of the trees, just they are hanging the roots into the open atmospheric conditions for getting water from the moisture or humidity which is present here. The humidity measurement is also just done by this hygroscopic property. This hygroscopic property is nothing but absorption of invisible water particles present in the moisture, in the air. Understood? So from the air they can easily to absorb the water by a special tissue which is called as a velamen tissue. What is the tissue? Velamin tissue is a long non-living tissue, but it is made up of epidermal layered, multi-layered epidermal cells are lignified. Lignified means lignin is a substance which is present in the dead cells, which making a layer of tissue called non-living tissue called velamin tissue, which is able to maintain more porous properties, which is able to get water from the moisture, which are these are the porous nature present in the surface of the root, which is freely hanging in the air, Now got the point? So when they are freely hanging in the air, they are generally white colored thread like roots, simply they projecting into the air by keeping the plant body on the upward direction on the branches of huge trees. The plant body of orchids, especially orchids, placing or positioning on the branches, then roots are going to be hanging into the air. They will not come in contact with the soil, because these orchids like plants are not able to absorb water directly from the soil. They are only absorb water from the moisture or from the air. That much ability and capacity just shown by the special tissue called velamin tissue, which is present on the upper surface of the epidermal layer of the roots, white colored roots, what freely hanging in the air. Now got the point? So for that purpose of absorbs water from the moisture, these special roots are going to be produced from the specially producing from the plants like orchids, where the plant body positioned on the other branches of the trees. That's why those are called epiphytic roots or epiphytic plants, and hygroscopic means absorption of water from the moisture. That's why these roots are also called as hygroscopic roots. Now you please write something else about these epiphytic roots. These roots in some plants like orchids. Best exemplary plant come from the orchids, vanda, and some other species not come from orchids. Some other plants like clivia species also produces free hanging roots from the nodes of the stem, in the plants like especially orchids. These orchids are generally growing on the branches of huge trees. Simply they positioned on the huge branches of trees, just to keep their body stand on the branches requires some special roots, which they are percolated to the bark or different cracks like structures which we seen on the bark. Into the bark, these are the roots penetrate easily to keep the plant body properly on the branches. Those roots are called clinging roots. They are non-absorptive roots. They are not absorb the materials. They are only penetrating into the cracks or breaks of bark on the huge branches of the big trees. They simply percolate into the bark or the gaps what made in the bark of the huge branches. Into the gaps, these special roots are going to be percolate or penetrate. These roots specially are called clinging roots. They are very much useful for giving support to the plant body, keep on the right and appropriate position on the huge branches of huge trees. After that, one more type of roots, they are going to be hanging freely from the support. Those roots are called velamin roots or epiphytic roots or hygroscopic roots, which they are very much useful for absorption of water from the moisture. Now got the point? So this is the information we gathered here. These hanging roots contains a special tissue a special tissue called velamin tissue. That's why these roots are also called as velamin roots. Velamin tissue which developed from multi-layered epidermis. Multi-layered epidermis which constituted by chemical substance called lignin. Constituted by lignin. And these are non-living and absorbs, for what purpose they are produced? Absorbs water from moisture. Note down, students, moisture in the environment. So for the purpose of getting water from the moisture only, these are the roots, especially they are developing on the huge branches of the trees. Now here we better to draw the diagram. Okay, suppose to think it is a soil. On this only a very big tree. It is developing here with a long trunk. Some branches they may be producing here. Yes. Okay, suppose to think it is a very big tree. On this particular tree we have a bark is here. Understood? On this particular bark, simply a small plant is going to be developed by producing first roots which percolate into the cracks or breaks of bark. These are called clinging roots. Note down, students. Clinging roots. Clinging roots are non-absorptive roots. They are not absorbing anything. For what purpose they are moving into or penetrate into the cracks and breaks of the bark which is present on the huge branches of trees for giving support. Understood? For giving support, for keeping the plant body. For keeping the plant body. So then simply the plants can easy to penetrate their clinging roots and take right position of the plants. Afterwards, they are releasing some special roots called, these are the hanging roots. They are releasing into the air. So when they are releasing into the air, these are the roots are called velamin roots because they contains a tissue called velamin. So these roots are called velamin roots. Note down, students. Velamin roots which is able to absorb water. Which is able to absorb water in the form of water droplets. Which they are present in the moisture. Suppose to think it is a moisture present in the environment. It is the moisture present in the environment. From the moisture, the water droplets which they are present, they are taken by these special roots. This water is taken by these special roots called velamin roots or hygroscopic roots. Now got the point? So this is a special modifications we see in the plants who are not able to absorb water directly from the soil. They are only able to take water from the moisture by releasing these hanging roots like producing these velamin roots or epiphytic roots or hygroscopic roots. Now we are going to discuss about one more root modification, that is, now the next type of roots like nodular roots. Nodular roots. When we heard this term, we may get some idea. Okay, already we discussed about this nodular roots. Nodule-like structures in which roots it is present for fixation of nitrogen. these nodular roots are very much important for fixation of nitrogen. Nitrogen is very important element for plants, you know. In the environment, nitrogen amounts is 78 to 79%. Nitrogen content is there. Rich amount of gases, among other gases, nitrogen is more, you know, in the atmosphere. But that nitrogen content is not directly absorbed by the plants. Plants are depending on other factors. In that only we seen here some fixation of nitrogen done by some special organisms like bacteria. Bacteria like Rhizobium leguminosarum. The bacterium like Rhizobium leguminosarum. You please note down, students. It's very, very important. So the bacteria Rhizobium leguminosarum lives in the lives as inhabitant or symbiont. Symbiont means, okay, two different organisms together to live like a single organism. Understood? Okay, both are getting, vice versa, both are getting benefited. That type of relationship what made in between two different organisms is called symbiotic relation. Both are getting positive or advantages. These particular two organisms are going to be get advantages, benefits, vice versa get benefited. So that type of benefits are given by this Rhizobium leguminosarum to the plants like symbiont in the roots of leguminous plants. Legume plants are leguminous plants. Here legume plants especially like Fabaceae, the family Fabaceae. Okay, later we'll discuss about Fabaceae what it is. Okay, legume plants are Fabaceae plants. Mostly in this particular plants we seen what pulses, where they are going to give more protein we are obtaining from this particular plants like pulses, which they are come under family Fabaceae, also called as legume plants. In this family plants only they are going to form special root nodules. In the root nodules they are giving shelter and food to the bacterium called Rhizobium leguminosarum. For the fixation of nitrogen, the nitrogen is get benefited by the legume plants. That nitrogen fixation done by the Rhizobium bacterium. So for that extraordinary work, symbiotic relationship, this Rhizobium bacterium get food and shelter from the plant body, and plant gets nitrogen from the Rhizobium bacterium. Both are get benefited. That type of relationship we are calling what symbiotic relation, which we see in the roots of legume plants. That's why those special roots are called nodular roots. Okay, students, let us know something about the remaining modifications along with nodular roots. So here, nodular roots, these are the special roots formed in the, especially in the legume plants, we seen these nodular roots, which are giving shelter and food to the bacterium, Rhizobium leguminosarum, due to the deposition and accumulation of more number of bacteria in the cortical region or the internal structure of the roots, in which region more colonies of Rhizobium leguminosarum is going to be stayed. Then slowly the cortical cells are going to be extended and expanded to form some small sacs like structures or small balloon like structures we are observing clearly. Morphologically they clearly observe clearly the out. Okay, so those special sac like structures are called nodules. They are present on the roots now, that's why those are called root nodules. So these particular root nodules we especially seen in the plants like legume plants. Now got the point, students? In the legume plant, suppose to take it is the legume plant, it is the soil. Okay, this is the stem part, but we focus the concentration on this particular roots only. Whatever the stem we see here, we focus the concentration on roots. It is a tap root. Tap root means a primary root followed by secondary and tertiary roots. Secondary and tertiary roots. In these roots, we are observing some nodular structures we are observing here. See, all these are the nodular structures. Some balloon-like structures. These are the special nodular structures we seen in the roots. So these nodule-like structures are called root nodules. Root nodules formed because of accumulation or staying of bacteria, Rhizobium leguminosarum, bacteria to fix nitrogen into the plants. Okay, so this type of roots are called nodular roots. These nodular roots are also special modifications we seen in the plants, some plants. In which plants the requirement of nitrogen fixation is needed here. Now got the point? Suppose to think it is a plant, legume plant, whatever the plant we seen here. In this plant the root nodules generally we seen clearly. So next type of root modifications like what it is? Photosynthetic roots. Photosynthetic roots, students, you please note down photosynthetic roots. Generally the roots are not perform photosynthesis, but all these are not general structures of roots. These are special structures in the roots. That's why those are called root modifications. So see here, in some plants, roots in some plants are in green in color. For performing photosynthesis. Why roots overtake the function of photosynthesis? Actually the process of photosynthesis is done by leaf, but here in some plants, shoot system absent. Shoot system is absent. So when the shoot system is absent means no stem, no leaves. Then how these plants are overcome the situations, adverse conditions due to lack of stem and leaves? It is not possible to do conducting photosynthesis and keep their body erect on the land for trapping light and conducting photosynthesis. Without organs, where is the possibility to do the process of photosynthesis? That's why in these special plants, rare plants are going to show the roots are only come out of the soil and they are going to change their shape and structure with color also into green colored and ribbon like roots we are observing here. Ribbon. Here we seen what ribbon like long filamentous expanded roots. Ribbon like roots in green color. They are producing for conducting the process of photosynthesis. Which overtake this function by leaves, because they have no leaves. Now got the point? This type of roots are specially called as photosynthetic roots. Okay, these photosynthetic roots are in some cases they are on the land or in some cases on any other or any other surface as object, any other objects as the surface of the trees, trunk of the trees or branches of the trees, generally it is growing. Suppose to take it is a branch, it is a trunk of a tree, it is a trunk of a tree. On this trunk, it is a bark of course. On this trunk, this is the special roots are going to be distribute their structures like this, like a long ribbon like structures, long ribbon like extending roots are going to be distribute in all the directions. See here, it is a flattened ribbon like extending structure of roots, they completely stuck on the surface of the trunk or branches of the trees. Okay, with the color green color, through at which position they are going to be stuck to trap light and conduct photosynthesis and prepare their own food, prepare its own food during the process of photosynthesis. Now got the point? So this type of roots also we are observing in the plants, like examples. You better to write the examples of photosynthetic roots. These photosynthetic roots are also known as, one more important point you better to write, assimilatory roots. These photosynthetic roots is also known as assimilatory roots, students. You please note down, assimilatory roots. They assimilate or prepare food through the process of photosynthesis. Example, trapa. Okay, trapa is an aquatic plant, of course. You know, trapa is an aquatic plant. Okay, where we are observing these roots are going to be balanced and conducting photosynthesis. Okay, trapa and Tinospora. Note down, students, Tinospora and Teniophyllum. Examples you please remember, Teniophyllum. So all these are the different exemplary plants. Okay, listen once again, Trapa, Tenospora and Teniophyllum. All these are the exemplary plants in which plants we see in a special roots like structures and root modifications, that is photosynthetic roots are assimilatory roots. Now got the point. Now we have only one very important root modification, that is about we discuss about hostorial roots or sucking roots or parasitic roots. Many names are there. We should prepare all those different names and different exemplary plants what we have. Understood? Right, students? Now we are going to discuss about that one more type of root modification which is needed to discuss here in our syllabus, that is sucking roots. What it is, students? Sucking roots. These sucking roots are also called as, are also known as hostorial roots. What it is, students? Hostorial roots. Hostorial roots are also known as parasitic roots. So different names we are using for these roots. You please remember about all the different names of different root modifications what we have discussed here, right ma? So parasitic roots, so sucking roots, hostorial roots, parasitic roots. The roots in some plants or depends on other, the roots in some plants percolate into the other plant's body for steal the nutrients. So these roots in which plants present and steal the nutrients from other plants and their sources are called parasitic plants. These plants depends on others for getting nutrients because they haven't own ability to perform the process of photosynthesis, maybe the region. Okay, the nutrients especially on which they depends on two different nutrients. Some plants, some parasitic plants depends on both the nutrients like water and minerals, food and nutrients. Water and food. Food is prepared by the leaf in the plants. So the plants which they depends completely on others for getting complete nutrients, like both nutrients like water and food. For the food also they depends on others means what actually? The meaning what hide in the plants? These plants do not possess leaves. So leaves are absent in these plants. The plants which depends on other normal plants which are conducting photosynthesis prepare their own food. That food steal by these plants. Those are called complete parasitic plants. Complete parasitic plants means complete parasitic plants what they steal the nutrients like water and food by penetrate their special roots into the host organism or host plant. Host plant is the plant which provide sources of food to the parasitic plant. Now got the point? The steal nutrients from which plant they steal, that plant is called host plant. That stealing plant through the roots, special roots as needle-like structures penetrating into the internal region of the vascular region or conductive tissue which conducting water and minerals and conducting food and nutrients like xylem and phloem respectively. Into that channels these special roots of parasitic plants penetrate, inserted and suck the nutrients from both the tissues like xylem and phloem. From xylem they are collecting or steal water and minerals. From the phloem they are getting food and nutrients. Now got the point? So both the nourishment, both the nutrients completely they collected from the host plants by penetrating a special roots called hostorial roots into the internal region or vascular region of the host plant. Then they can easily to steal the nutrients both the water and food. The complete nutrients they steal from the host plants. Now that's why those plants are called complete parasitic plants. These complete parasitic plants do not have leaves also, do not have a proper root system for absorption of water also. So they may not get water and food with its own ability. They haven't ability to get gathered these two nutrients like water and food. That's why that water and food which are required, very much required to lead their life, they steal from, they just what we call depends on other plants and penetrating a special needle-like roots called hostorial roots through which they suck the nutrients like water and minerals. That type of plants are called complete parasitic plants. So some other plants are also they are producing these hostorial roots for only one type of nutrients. In these parasitic plants they have leaves. Means what it is, they have leaves but they have a poor developed root system. The root system and vascular tissue is not well developed. In this situation they may not absorb water directly from the soil. Means what it is, but they have leaves. They are able to perform process of photosynthesis. The second category of plants which are not complete parasitic plants are possess leaves but they haven't absorbed water directly from the soil. So they depends on other plants for getting water only by steal the water from the xylem forms which they are conducting rapid amount of water towards the apical parts of the plants. So from that water, from that conduction of water, simply they are collecting the water, suck the water, steal the water by the hostorial roots into the parasitic plant. Here second category of plants are only depends on a type of nutrient like water. That's why these are called incomplete parasitic plants. By utilizing that water only they are conducting photosynthesis because they have their own leaves to trap light and conducting photosynthesis by utilizing water steal from the other host plants. So like that here two categories of plants we discussed. Now you better to write few lines about these two different types of plants. So here these hostorial roots are producing these hostorial roots producing in some special plants for steal nutrients like water and food which contains nutrients. Okay. For the main purpose of these two are the main nutrients which steal by the other plants like parasitic plants. Okay. These hostorial roots developed from stem part of the parasitic plants. These parasitic plants are of two types. What they are? Complete parasitic plants. Note down, students. Complete parasitic plants, and second one is incomplete parasitic plants. Incomplete parasitic plants. Okay. Here two examples we have. About complete parasitic plants we have two exemplary plants like what it is? Cuscuta and Rafflesia. You please remember, these two are the plants. Cuscuta and Rafflesia come under complete parasitic plants. Means these two are the plants do not possess leaves and have poor or weak root system to absorb water. That's why for both the purposes like getting nutrients like the requirement of nutrients steal from host plant is water and food. Water generally absorbed by the roots. The roots are not well developed. Food is prepared by the leaves. Leaves are also not well developed in these two types of plants. That's why for complete nutrients there depends on the host plant. By the hostorial roots they are steal the nutrients. That's why these plants are called complete parasitic plants. For the best exemplary plants for complete parasitic plants, Cuscuta and Rafflesia. Please remember, students. For incomplete parasitic plants, already explained. Incomplete parasitic plants means only they have leaves. They have its own leaves, but lacks developed root system to absorb water. That's why they depends on water. They depends on other host plants. For steal water only through the hostorial roots. Now got the point? So for only one type of nutrient they depends on others. That's why these plants are called as incomplete parasitic plants. Here also two examples you remember. Many examples are there, later we'll discuss, but two examples are needed to remember. Here two examples like Striga and viscum. Striga and viscum are the two plants which come under incomplete parasitic plants which possess its own leaves for conducting photosynthesis, but required nutrients are only water here for these two plants like striga and viscum. That's why these are called incomplete parasitic plants. Now we are going to draw the diagram for these two types of parasitic plants like complete parasitic plants and incomplete parasitic plants. So you please draw the diagram here. Mostly complete parasitic plants we see in they are growing on the plants like legume plants. The plants like legume plants. Okay. Suppose to think it is a individual plant, independent plant. They perform their own, they prepare their own food. But this food is going to be food and water steal by the complete parasitic plants like cuscuta. So in the plants like legume plants, the cuscuta mostly it is going to be twin around the stem of the legume plants. It is twinning in manner or spinning around the stem of host plant. It is the host plant. Host plant means which provide nutrients to the others, from which this parasitic plant steal nutrients. That plant is called host plant. From the host plant it steal nutrients. This is the plant called cuscuta plant. What is the plant it is? Cuscuta, which has wiry stem, very long wiry stem which twin around the main stem of the host plant. Okay, from this particular twinning nature, it is penetrating small, they are producing small needle-like structures. These needle-like structures which they are penetrating into the anatomy of these host plant are called hostorial roots. These hostorial roots are developed from stem part. So these are called hostorial roots. These hostorial roots are the needle-like structures. Needle-like structures through which they are going to penetrate into the both xylem and phloem and steal nutrients like both water and food steal from xylem and phloem respectively. Xylem and phloem respectively. Xylem provides water, phloem provides food. Now got the point? This is the type of plants we are calling complete parasitic plants. Understood? Incomplete parasitic plants are depends on other plants. Suppose to take it is a plant which is going to be differentiated into nodes and internodes. Okay, with their own leaves what they are projecting. Okay, small leaves they are projecting. Okay. It has its own root system which is penetrating into the deeper layers of the soil here. From this root system, one important plant which is an incomplete parasitic plant like striga fixed into the roots of this host plant. This is the host plant. From the root only it connected to produce some special roots like hostorial roots which connected to the root system of the host plant and taken by this plant. This is the This is the plant which is going to possess its own leaves. Leaves are there, but the required amount is water. But the required amount is water, which is present here. The water is present in the roots of host plant. That water steal by the incomplete parasitic plant, like striga. What is the plant? It is striga. It is incomplete parasitic plant because it only depends on water. Only one type of nutrient only steal from the host plant. So this is host plant, this is parasitic plant, incomplete parasitic plant, like striga. Striga is the best exemplary plant. So like that, dear students, I think you all understood very well about all the different types of different modifications of root. So many other plants also there, like Jessia, Jussia, Jessia. You please note down. Jessia is a plant, is a aquatic plant. Aquatic plant possess balancing roots or floating roots. Balancing roots or floating roots. You please note down. It has floating roots. Understood, students? So best example Jessia. You please note down. So the plants like Salvinia. In the Salvinia also, from every node they are producing two leaves. One leaf is come out of the water and another leaf is developing into the horizontal stem which is growing in the water. Slowly they are moving. One leaf moving into the water as different roots, which is going to give buoyancy property to the plant. So the leaf turn into acts like a root, that particular roots which they are projecting into the water to balance the plant body or float the plant body on the water. In the Salvinia we seen like the different kinds of roots we are observing. Some are like begonia, bryophyllum. Okay, the leaf in the margins of the leaf we have some notches, they are present. In the notches they have some buds present on the surface of the leaf. That's why those buds are called epiphyllous buds. These epiphyllous buds, bottom side they are producing so many adventitious roots. These roots are also very much important for producing individual plants like bryophyllum and begonia. So like that, some other roots are also acts as reproductive roots like Morraya conigi. Morraya conigi is a curry leaf, scientific name of curry leaf plant. Understood? And already we discussed Ipomia batatas, like adventitious roots in the curry leaf plant and sweet potato plant. These roots are producing acts as reproductive roots. We utilize the roots and propagate the plant number by using these roots. That's why those are called what it is, reproductive roots. So like the different modifications of roots we seen in the various plants for conducting different functions other than the main functions what we seen in done by the root for better survival in those habitat or habitual conditions what actually they have in their surroundings. So with this lecture just we completed root system and regions of root and modifications of root. In the next lecture we are going to discuss about after the root a particular part which we are calling main axis of the plant, it is called stem. What it is? Stem. So now we come out of the soil towards the aerial part. Aerial parts like stem which is going to bear a large number of organs like branches, leaves, flowers, fruits. All those are only bearing on the particular plant axis called stem. So in the next lecture we are going to discuss about stem and what is stem and what are the functions are carried out by the stem and is there any modifications shown by some other plants and their stems, for what purpose they are going to show the modifications as stem modifications. Everything we discussed in the coming lectures. So you please tune to our botany class, learn more and more things and you please practice more and more for getting more information and revise that information. You should not forget. Okay, you better to remember every time by recall the content what you are learning through the video classes. Thank you, students.